And those days they'll take those extra 3 on just to be more into meditation, you know, just sort of like full, you feel relaxed in the body, you're not sleepy. And when you go to party and you get made up, everything, one thing leads to another, someone's snorting here in the kitchen, and then you go on, have one, and you're likely to get into all the other ones. And then dancing, we're going to a casino, you come out for the weekend, one thing leads to another, like that. So it's to avoid that and try to get into an atmosphere where you're likely to be able to meditate. And if you can't really do it easily, mixing drink, in my experience, it's quite stock. Sila, Dāna, Sila, Bhavana, and Dāna. The Buddha would almost always start by talking about the fault of miserliness. And the first thing on the day were to go in a bowl and see how it opens up people. It's coming, people is coming, and people are like, they're awake. It wakens people up. It's a very lovely thing, the alms bowl in the morning. And morality often, after you talk about that, it can be put in the emphasis as well, like if it's taught with a kind of way of don't, you know, then it's not the point. It's I undertake. But it's also like Thich Nhat Hanh, he's done this beautiful precepts where they say, I offer life, instead of saying don't, I don't kill. Like they say, like, I respect for life, giving. So they don't do it kind of like inverted. But they put it on this somebody else. Whichever way you go in the meaning, it's the same thing. So you come to wash your bowl and there's a lot of ants and you just don't tap on because, and tendency, like you want to take it at first and then you try it, you live a few days, and what happens? You go, well, there's a string of ants, just to step over it. And, you know, when you take something that was meant for me, so I don't take it anyway. So you think twice and then you start to restrain back. But also you come against the logic, you know, like something biting you and you just slap. And the whole thing of like, my skin's irritated, you're going to die. You know, my irritation, you don't count. So, you know, whole logic of that. And then how you can see how it extends out. If there was a civil war and you're asked to fly a plane and drop a bomb, you know, like whatever there is, you've got your moral code, logic. Your logic is, how do I feel happy? I feel happy when you're not alive anymore. It's that I feel happy when he's not alive anymore, she's not alive anymore. And that, get out of my life and get out of my flat. I don't like you being in my space. Whatever it is, it comes down to the same thing. And retraining that so that those jealous tendencies or sort of like intolerant tendencies, impatience tendencies, the retraining the brain, retraining the neural circuits, whatever it is, to wait, to consider, and to allow mindfulness to develop compassion and then reflect on other beings of life. They're all undertaking, that's it. And automatically by that, you're granting life. Nobody does it like being a child when you're told. And it's also the big difference before external power that you're under the domination of, and you're primarily bringing them responsibility internally where it becomes second nature. But automatically, when you practice mindfulness, well, not automatically, but somewhat automatically, when you practice mindfulness and you increase it and morality gets increased, that's like just the consideration of the group compared to my needs and wants, how my behavior is going to impact on the group. So that automatically starts to increase, where just as you get more empathy and more self-control and so on, you automatically, that stuff's in, and including like reading all the stories and all the models and the example of the Buddha and all the things that happen. It becomes an incentive in itself. It isn't given as a command. And people went to the Buddha. The Buddha wasn't in a big hurry to convert people. They came to him and said, I haven't seen any miracles, anything. I've been a monk for a month, I hadn't seen anything. I didn't invite you. He said, I didn't invite you to come. It's fine. Where you go? Then it's very much, it's an undertaking on your own, learning that there's a cause and effect at work. If you're killing, then you're going to be restless. If you've been sleeping around, then you'd be worried in case you get caught. If you're taking drugs, you'll be less mindful. You'll have less memory. And if you said something, you'll be hovering around. So it's trying to set up the conditions where what's re-arising from what you've been doing and is creating calm. That's soul. So it's about causing an effect. It's not about traditional rule, childish following of rules. This is why, especially this next part I'm about to go on to, we'll cover that, because this, once that section there is called the purification of morality. It sounds like a bit well, but to understand that there's a relationship that goes along there. And samadhi, which is what you're talking about, concentrate on a light, stare on a sun or stare on a candle. You stare on image or symbol or word or whichever they are. This is called, this area of mindfulness, concentration, and also energy and the effort. So how to balance these and how to bring back what your effort is. Like if your effort is to get up and look at some of your effort is to handle, or it's multitude. The Buddha recommended 40 of these meditation subjects, which bring about stillness. But he also talked about a lot about the interrelationship between the morality side and the Dāna side, how those work, and also how this level and the nibbana won't occur until these have been very much understood. You know, you might people who've got really close to a really blissful experience, like penetrating wisdom, and then somewhat, but they still got really shaky ideas of morality. They might get there for half an afternoon or something, and then it will blow it all out through going off on a wrong livelihood or something, or they still haven't clarified something about morality. So it's not stable. So the science of the mind, which is what Buddhism is a lot about how to repeatedly, systematically attain the path and the fruition again and again and again. So it becomes second nature, and it becomes effortless and not accidental, and it becomes more and more familiar about how to bring about those causes and therefore get the results. So that, like exploring the written teachings and transmitted heritage about all of these sides, helps to practice and learn about the 40 types of samatha meditation, is when you concentrate on one thing. And just by repeatedly keeping one thing as an object, those are insights, and they are also phenomena of meditation. So that work with a teacher, you know, like, and find out about how they are described and what they relate to. It would be good to do that if you had a lot of experience, and to go into any kind of like retreat where you've got a good working relationship with the teacher and can discuss them and so on. Yeah, and share about it in the right context, right time. The Brahma Kumaris. In my opinion, you don't need to look for anything else outside of this. It's very complete, encompassing. The Buddha described it like an elephant's footprint on the sand. You can fit all the other teachings inside it. They're not like, it's not a partial teaching, it's completely complete. It wasn't like, you know, in the first year he said teaching this, and then he had another bit on, and what about this, and then that happened, and then this. No, it was just a consistent teaching that he said, this is a full enlightenment, and I could teach complete teaching from the perfect in the beginning, perfect in the middle, perfect in the end. So I don't think you need to find anything else outside of it. I think teachers, students of different yogas don't conflict. Nothing conflicts with what you find. It's an inner yoga. Brahma Kumaris do dance, and you don't need that with this. You don't use the physical body other than for its natural walking, sitting, say natural, you sit inactive. The internal work is what's done in the mental level. So you don't need to do anything special, diets particularly, or activities that involve strenuous yogic exercises. So this here, these three groups, this is very important: morality, concentration, and wisdom. And this three groups break down into 3, 3, and 2. So right livelihood, right speech, and right action. Then these three break down into 3, which is right concentration, right effort, and right mindfulness. And these 2, the wisdom group, break down into right view and the right aim as well. So it's very important part of the practice to try to get clarity on what is the meaning and the practice in our own practice of those 3. So if you're aiming to meditate to lose weight, it's wrong aim, because it's not really what it's about. Or put on weight, or like develop your mathematical memory or something. Those improve your goal swing or something. It's very important to have the right aim, the right view. There's an enormous range of views that people have, like the astrology view, Christian, and umpteen views, Einstein's view, or Einstein's aggressor's view, or trying to correct him, and so on. And loads of different types of views. And so the clarification and the purification and through direct experience is what is going on in order to get all of these 8 factors to function, so that the path arises and clear greed, hatred, and delusion, which obstruct the path from your... All right, so that this helps as an overall model to see where this side of things, which is often done in a monastic setting or retreat setting in very quiet conditions, fits in also with the wholesome social lay life, and where it infects things, it relates to things like antisocial misconduct and so on. And precepts go in various groups. 5, which is for regular people living a household life. It's not always possible to do more than that. 8 precepts, when often people go to the temple, they stay over often on the half moon and the full moon, or if there's a brief retreat, like like a 4-day retreat somewhere or something, 10-day retreat somewhere, maybe longer. 10 precepts, which Samanera, a novice in training. Technically, I'm a novice in training. I tend to behave more or less like a fully ordained monk, but I do so much traveling between different cultures, and I've took full ordination back in 1986 to 1989. I find it better nowadays to keep on the 10 or 119 precepts. 10 precepts is the basic Samanera. Basically, when they call you a Samanera, usually it refers to youngsters who are up to 21. They keep these 10 precepts, and that's what I ordained, because they said, why not go to Sri Lanka? You go into you keep the 10 precepts, which is basically like those 8 plus not touching money, and plus the one about entertainment is made a bit more specific. So it's not singing and dancing, going to shows, or wearing kind of like jewelry, or... The 119, I discovered that when I went to Burma, they suddenly said, do you know your 118 rules? I said, it's 10. They said, no, here's the book. Go into your room and don't come out for 2 weeks. They put me in prison for 2 weeks, so, to learn them. And I found that it's fair enough. What they do is they take the 75 of the monks' 227 and they add it on there, and which are minor things like wearing a robe, even like not eating with a noisy sound, or not flicking the food around, or if you're going through public, to walk smoothly. They're polite rules, because they would get people ordaining from the right back of beyond, like farm kids and stuff, or coming from extreme practices, sticking things through them and that. And when they ordain, they want them all to be like reasonably on good conduct and reasonably orderly as a group. So there's 75 of those are shared there, and then they started to divide them down into some rules that are So they would get like 500 people from another yogi teacher would all suddenly become monks at one time. So they had like rules to restrain them on not going around and blaspheming the Buddha or saying like he's not enlightened. I've never seen him. He just walks around, wears shoes. Over, they would somehow like restrain them from to keep the order like that. Without going into too much detail, we can do that some later. 227 is what the monks keep. 311 is for bhikkhunis, because bhikkhunis were getting trouble specific to being women. They were also going off into the forest and meditating. Farmers were going raping them and stuff like, so that they were given rules that must keep going in twos so they protect each other. Such things like that, that they were, most of them are for the safekeeping of the bhikkhunis, which is the way they were found to need. There's many people, like in the West, they have bhikkhunis that are keeping a sort of something like I'm doing, so at 10 to 119, design called Sila Dharas. That's been very popular. There was controversy when the Bhikkhuni lineage died out for quite a period of time and was recently kick-started back up again. And whether you can do that or not came up for discussion. And nowadays, for example, I've been in Temple Monastery in Burma. You like the refectory, the lunch refectory, there would be a line of bhikkhunis like as long as like 1,000 meters long or something from all over the world, as well as from China, rice hats, from Burma, from Thailand, from Australia, or from all over. So there's been a big revitalization in Korea. I think they outnumber monks 5 to 1. It's not always the same every different country. How are we doing for energy? Sagging, or I think you're... Okay. Should we take a break? Yeah. So I don't want to overload you.